When I heard the learned astronomer, when the proofs, the figures, were ranged in columns before me, when I was shown the charts and diagrams to add, divide, and measure them, when I sitting heard the astronomer where he lectured with much applause in the lecture room, how soon, unaccountable, I became tired and sick, till rising and gliding out, I wandered off by myself in the mystical, moist night air, and from time to time looked up in perfect silence at the stars. Yeah, my name is David Greenwood, and I'm in the Faculty of Education, and I'm the Canada Research Chair for Environmental Education. So my research surrounds environmental, place-based, sustainability education, and holistic education. Really trying to look at the whole picture of the human relationship to the environment, which includes not just the environment, but our relationship to it. And so that means that it also includes an investigation of what human beings really are and how they learn to interact with others, including the non-human world, what we call our environment. Well, the poem that I recited is a poem called When I Heard the Learned Astronomer by Walt Whitman, who was a 19th century poet, one of the greatest American poets. And for me, that poem has always represented a really important movement from the lecture hall to the wider world itself. In the poem, Whitman goes to an astronomy lecture, and he's sitting there in the audience, and it's a good lecture, there's a lot of applause. But at some point, he feels himself tired and sick, till rising and gliding out, he wandered off by himself. And he went from the astronomy lecture, wandering off into the night, to experience the stars. To me, this has always been at the heart of what I'm trying to invite other people to think about in education, and that is moving from thinking about something and describing it with our technologies to actually experiencing it. And that's why we're here at the Central Garden, because the campus is right up there, and all the buildings that we normally congregate in are hovering there above us. But out here, we can actually see and experience some of what we call the environment. And reconnecting with that sensory experience, I think, is so important as we investigate what it means to be in relationship to the environment and how we can best take care of our places. I guess if I had to provide language for the kind of researcher that I am, I'd rather claim the older term scholar, and talk about the relationship between research and scholarship. I'm more comfortable with the word scholarship myself because of the contested nature of research that I've experienced in the university. What drew me to my work as a scholar in environmental education is really a set of circumstances. I think primary, though, is my affinity for connection with what we call the more than human world in my field. I think as people, and especially as educators, we tend to focus on the social environment predominantly. So I've always had a real affinity toward the non-human world, toward the vegetation, the plants, the animals. And in fact, I feel most alive when I'm outside. And because I've been teaching for 25 years, I know that a lot of other people do too. And I think that I've tried to follow a path that bridges, again, the experience of being alive outside and the experience of learning inside. What I also seek to do is to think with other people about how to restore places, to bring beauty and harmony and life back into places that have been damaged. And that again is another undercurrent of this setting. This garden, this beautiful garden that few people that even work at the university know exists, used to just be a pile of dirt and gravel. But some people had a vision to change that. And it took a lot of time, it took a lot of hands, but you look around this place and you see what is possible when people have a vision. My research has always been interested in what makes that happen. How can we enable people to restore and re-inhabit their places when they've been damaged in some way, or when they don't serve people in some way? So looking for opportunities to improve the quality of life in particular places is really at the heart of what I call place-based education. I've always had what some scholars in creativity theory call a network of enterprise. And that is a lot of different projects going that are really my attempt to respond to my overarching questions. One of my overarching questions is, why do people hurt each other and themselves and their environment? And what can we do about it? But these are the kind of ultimate questions that drive my interest in scholarship and research. The work that I do in environmental education is really part of a broader network of social movements, of people around the world working for social justice, ecological sustainability, indigenous and civil rights, and nonviolence and peace. There's an old Buddhist saying that says, "Do not follow in the footsteps of the masters, but rather seek what they sought." And I think part of how I got here is that I'm very passionate about my work. I'm legitimately really not just interested, but moved and compelled to examine what it means to be a person alive in the 21st century as climate change and other ecological degradation sort of unravels everything that we knew. How I got to this work in general, though, I mentioned earlier that I had, as a kid, a deep affinity for the natural world. And I've always pursued that connection. I pursued it mainly in university work through literature. My background is actually in the arts, in literature, and cultural studies. And so I really look at research in environmental education from the wider sweep of the liberal arts and humanities. When I went to graduate school, I also had incredible mentors who showed me the possibilities for becoming a scholar and an activist within the university. I had one mentor who was a scholar and another who was an activist. And I saw in both of those amazing people opportunities for myself to pursue the kind of work that I wanted to. And for me, that meant a blend of a scholar and an activist, so that part of my work is understanding the traditions that I come from and the places in the literature and the related social movements that are addressing the conditions of our environment. And on the other hand, I want to take action. I want to create change. I want to take what has been abandoned and create something beautiful, like this garden. If people are interested in environmental, place-based sustainability and holistic education, they should contact the Faculty of Education